So here's a photograph of myself in the 1970s playing the diatonic harmonica in Death Valley on a camping trip. Shout out to Richard Leet, who invited me on the camping trip and took that photograph. And we made sure that we both had blues harmonicas in the same key. And we did some playing in Death Valley. So I was in high school. I'm going to guess that photograph is from 1977. I was in high school. When I was in high school, I carried two things in my pocket. I always had an Ace comb in my back pocket, and then some kind of Hohner diatonic harmonica in my front right pocket. I'd go in the boys' room and I would run the comb through my hair, and I was not in a hurry to leave because I liked the acoustics of the boys' room and would play the harmonica in there. There's always a guy that would walk in and say, "Hey, you're pretty good at that thing." So I developed a reputation for being the guy that was a good harmonica player. Now, I don't know, my sophomore year, my junior year, I noticed there was these three guys that I knew, and I saw them one day, and they all had a chromatic harmonica, like they each had a small 10 or 12 hole chromatic, and they had a songbook that they were looking at. I said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Oh, well, we all bought harmonicas, and we're sharing this songbook, and we're just learning the melodies by looking at the, hole numbers and the tablature that tells us when to push the slide in and so on." So these guys had formed a little chromatic harmonica club, and I kind of wish that I joined it, but they were all a little nervous talking to me because I was the good harmonica player. But I used to go visit that music store. There was a place called World of Music in Cupertino, California. Next door to that was the comic book store. So I like to go to both of those places at that age. And I was taking saxophone lessons at that music store. I would buy my reeds. I would buy my harmonicas. I bought the book Jazz Harmonica by Richard Hunter from that music store. I used to go through all the harmonica books, and I was puzzled by all the songbooks. They'd have songbooks with Beatles songs, Disney songs, whatever the popular song of the day was, movie score themes. They had all these thematic books for chromatic harmonica, and it just wasn't on my radar. For me, the harmonica was jamming, and it was blues, and it was country music. So looking back, those guys had a little chromatic harmonica practice club. So let's fast forward to 2022. I've got a website up. I'm putting together harmonica courses. I did a course where I went through a songbook of 70 melodies, and I demonstrated every single one of those songs. And being somewhat of a perfectionist, I wouldn't stop recording until I got the melody right. So the melody had to be correct. I'd play it in a couple octaves. I'd talk about the song. Through the process of teaching this material, I started to notice a very strong connection between scales and arpeggios and these melodies in this book. That a lot of these melodies would just move like up and down the scale. Sometimes there'd be a skip. A lot of times those skips would be an arpeggio. And I thought, boy, if anybody's learning these songs, they should learn the scales and arpeggios that go with this key. And at the end of recording and teaching 70 melodies on the chromatic harmonica, got to admit, it's not the most popular thing on my website. But those nerds in high school, they were on to something, because for me, the chromatic harmonica has been a tricky instrument to learn. And I always made progress when I played melodies, when I just worked on playing melodies, not trying to jazz them up or anything. At the end of teaching and recording and learning to play 70 melodies, my harmonica playing was better. Like noticeably better, more confident, and for the kind of harmonica playing that I do, which is improvisation in different keys, that's my favorite thing to do. The songbook course, I'll give my own student testimonial, it really helped me a lot. So anyway, last year I decided to put together a practice club where students just practice exercises and melodies. Maybe one week is a song, the next week might be a scale pattern or a series of arpeggios. And usually I have found that the arpeggio practice and the scale practice goes right along with whatever songs we're going to learn in subsequent weeks. So anyway, the Chromatic Practice Club has approached its 1-year anniversary. We had week 52, we're up to week 53. Tomorrow I post a lesson for week 54. The club was on Discord and nobody could find it. So I have moved it to Patreon. And I want to invite you to check it out. The price of admission is fairly reasonable. It's a monthly subscription. That is a commitment, I understand. You might want to sign up for a month, take a look around. If it's not your cup of tea, you could cancel the membership. But there's a big backlog of lessons. 53 is going to be 54 lessons that you can work on. So I'm going to give you just a real quick tour. If you bear with me, Okay, we are looking at actually not the home page of my Patreon, but we're looking at a collection of 15 videos that I've put together. This is weeks 1 through 15. In week 1, we did something I call an interval study. We played D to A. Just jumping a fifth. If that seems too easy, you could add an octave. We added an octave on top of that. It gets you used to skipping holes and being selective about which draw notes you play. I've had students that are blues harmonica, like blues chromatic players, could not do that exercise. And so I was really thinking about that. And I thought, well, let's start here. If that's too easy, then you just add a second octave, and then you could even add a third octave, playing just the D's and A's. Jumping up to week 8 here, I can't help falling in love. The opening phrase is the same interval jumping thing, D to A back down to D. So you could see how the exercise connects to a song directly. Let's jump back up to week 2. This is D minor and D major arpeggios, all draw notes again. And again, we got to get used to doing a whole skip. And I've had blues students that had a whole lot of trouble doing that. Again, it's selectively playing the notes that are correct for the exercise, not just any random note. The challenge with that exercise is to never play the note B. There it is. No, leave that one out. So I have found seemingly a simple exercise like that, and I've had students stumbling over it, and I feel like these are foundational things that we work on. And then we start getting into songs. Week 3, Amazing Grace in 2 keys. This is a phenomenon where Amazing Grace, but guess what? If you hold the slide in, you could play it in a whole other key, holding the slide in. So, week 5, the first 5 notes of a scale, we get used to playing part of the G scale. Notice the slide here. I think it's a better way to play the G scale. Then week 6, we play Ode to Joy in that same key. We're all prepared to play it because of the previous week. So sometimes there's a connection, especially like week 7 with the arpeggios. A lot of my students in the club are like, man, the arpeggios are getting easier as we move along, and they are helping with some of these songs. I always try to point out songs that have arpeggios in them, and then make the connection. Anyway, a lot of quotes. Let's go to my website, because I just love these quotes from these guys that have been in the club for pretty much the whole year. I click at the top, the practice club.
First time was a great time, second time was a blast.
Anyway, the Chromatic Practice Club is now on Patreon. It's way easier to sign up for, and it's easier to cancel. If you just want to try it for a couple months and get out of it, I'm just inviting you, and hopefully we'll see you there.